Chloe Jennings White spends her days confined to a wheelchair. It's tough to get around, and she struggles with living in a world that isn't built for the disabled. However, Chloe is actually able to walk perfectly.
Wait, what? What did he say? What? Chloe has chosen to live her life in a wheelchair, but she's able to walk perfectly. How about that? That's a new movement. Maybe it's new, maybe it's not. Maybe I've been living under a rock, but it's called being transabled, right? So we've allowed this transgender gimmick to get so out of control that people are transitioning into whatever they want to be. In Chloe's case here, she wants to transition to being disabled, even though she's perfectly fine. Seems completely normal if you ask me. Here's more of Chloe's story.
And chooses to live her life like a paraplegic due to a rare psychological disorder called BIID. Despite wishing she was paralyzed, Chloe still takes part in extreme sports like skiing. BIID has led Chloe, a Cambridge University educated research scientist, to harm herself in a bid to become paraplegic for real.
What? You can't. This is great. Like, you can't even make this stuff up. So Chloe is choosing to live her life in a wheelchair because she wants to identify as somebody who is paralyzed and can't walk. She can not only walk perfectly on her own, she likes to do extreme sports like skiing. So whenever she decides it's too much of a hassle to be in a wheelchair, which, by the way, completely mocks people that are forced to live in a wheelchair, she decides to hop on up and start skiing. Seems normal, right? You see where we go. When we talk about, like, if you're an adult, you want to be transgender, whatever, that's okay. But the more we normalize it, the more things like this are going to happen. Okay? It's not normal. If you ask a doctor that's actually going to be straight up with you, he will tell you it's actually an illness, a mental illness that needs to be treated called gender dysphoria. But instead of treating diseases like doctors have pledged to do, we instead affirm diseases. Imagine going to the doctor and the doctor's like, you've got cancer. Now, I thought about treating it, but I think instead we're just going to affirm your cancer and let you live with it and make sure everybody just accepts the fact that, you got cancer. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to promote it. Here is more of Chloe's story.
I have fantasies about having a car wreck and becoming paraplegic from a car wreck.
Perhaps most shockingly of all, London-born Chloe is on a quest to find a surgeon willing to operate in order to paralyze her legs forever.
I did find a surgeon in another country who would be prepared to do femoral and sciatic nerve transections to paralyze my legs. It would be at least $25,000. I don't have the money to do it. That's basically the only reason that I've not yet had surgery.
Tell me more about how this is not a mental illness. Okay. You want to pay a few $1,000s to have a doctor paralyze you on purpose? I don't know how you guys feel, but that is certainly the definition of a mental illness. I don't know what else to say. This is crazy. And Chloe is not alone. Like, Chloe's not the only one. And this just branches off into other things. What about minor attracted people? People that are attracted to minors. Maybe that sounds like a bad thing and it sounds like a crime, but they're people too. What if you have to affirm minor attracted people? That's probably coming down the pipe. And if you want to be honest, in Colorado, you had 27 Democrats recently in Colorado vote against making indecent exposure to minors a Class 6 felony. They said, no, we don't want to make that a felony. We don't want to ruin somebody's life for exposing themselves to a minor. And what was the reasoning they gave for why they didn't want to make that a felony? Because of transgenderism. You see where we're going here. The transgender gimmick is being used as a crutch to allow creepy people to continue to do creepy things. Here's their explanation in the Colorado State House. Watch this.
These types of laws have been used to ban drag shows, to target individuals who use the restroom of the sex that they identify with, a public restroom, to charge them with felony charges. I am very concerned about the attacks against the transgender community that are happening across the country. When I initially read this bill, it did not even come to mind, for me either, as an advocate. But as I've looked at the bills and as I've talked to my colleagues who are fighting these types of bills across the country, it's very clear to me that the language is very much mirrored in some of the laws that have been used to target members of our community because of who they are.
Yeah, so here's what needs to happen. All right, we need to quit pretending like this is normal. We need to quit pretending going after creeps and people that abuse children is some sort of issue about gay rights. Everybody wants their own civil rights moment. That's what this comes down to, and that's what these people are pretending is going on, but it's not. It's creepy. You're not going to get your hands on our kids. You're not going to be exposing yourself to our kids because it won't happen over our dead body. That's the long and short of it. I'm Andrew McClain, Talk 99.5 WZRR and the Over the Line podcast. Find me at AndrewMcClainWho.com. That's AndrewMcClainWho.com. Until next time, see you, cuz!